session. Let me bring in our guests who are joining us this afternoon. We have political analyst Desh, Ratan, Nigam, and we also have a leader from the Congress, Sujata Paul. Good to have both of you on the broadcast with us. Sujata Paul, let me begin with you first. Yesterday also, as I pointed out, we heard from the speaker that this list wasn't new. It comes out every single year. And today, even as the circular around dharnas and strikes is concerned, it's exactly the same point. Look at the notices which were issued when the UPA government was in power. Then where is the controversy about?
What happened in 2013 and 14 is what Mr. Modi spoke out against and came into power. So is he going to justify everything that happened in during the UPA government for his actions now? Especially when we have seen this entire government holding the country to ransom. We have seen how the farmers of the country have taken to the streets. The Panda Purohits of Uttarakhand have taken to the streets. The students and the so-called prospective Agniveers have taken to the streets during the tenure of this government. Look at the situation as far as unemployment is concerned, as far as inflation is concerned, price rise is concerned.
Sujata Paul, all that is fine, and you have the floor of the House to raise all those issues. But today, we're not seeing those issues being raised by the opposition, but we're seeing the opposition more worried about the number of teeth as far as the national emblem and the lions are concerned, the design of the national emblem, two circulars that have been issued in the past. It's anyway blunting the entire argument, saying that is this the priority that the opposition today wants to focus on?
Not at all. Do you want us to keep quiet when our national emblem is being tampered with? Have you seen the horse? The tail of the horse looks like the tail of a dog. So if this is going to happen, this has to be spoken out against. We are a peace-loving nation, but we have seen what this government has done, what the BJP has done to Bhagwan Sri Ram's photographs, to Hanumanji's photographs. Everything looks arrogant, looks angry, ferocious. Why? We are a peace-loving nation. As far as the parliament is concerned, you're absolutely correct. We are supposed to raise issues in the parliament. But when we are gagged in the parliament, and when the prime minister, no less, wants a country free of the opposition, he obviously calls them parjivis inside the parliament. And what do you expect? Where do the parliamentarians go when the mics are switched off? Do you remember what happened when the ordinances were being passed and converted into acts in the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha? In the Rajya Sabha, they had switched off the mic. So where else will we go?
Okay.
We will have to go
Fair
to the
point
people.
taken. Let me take that to Desh, Ratan, Nigam. Desh, Ratan, Nigam, today the issue is not just about the words included in a list or a circular, but the larger sentiment within opposition parties, and not just the Congress, but many others like MIM, TMC and others as well, that this is a government that's just not open to the idea of criticism, and all means to stifle that criticism are being adopted.
Well, let me make it very clear. We are in a democracy and we have different pillars of democracy like executive, parliament and judiciary. And the entire criticism was towards the government, but this is a parliamentary affair. The circular comes out from the parliament as a parliament bulletin, and it has been done in the past. And honestly, Sujata Paul admitted that it has been issued in the past also, rather than denying it. So there are certain parliamentary privileges that the parliament enjoys. They bring out the bulletin, it is not the government. So let us make that distinction. I think criticism is being directed instead of towards parliament rather than to the government. So that distinction, I think every spokesperson must maintain in a democracy. We have pillars of democracy, which, like executive, parliament and judiciary, who do their defined function and perform their functions. Now, coming up to this, parliament is not a place for dharna. Parliamentary precedents are there. Yes, the dharna is being done by some of the opposition parties and it has not been stopped in true spirit of democracy. But parliament is a place for debate and discussion where you have to put out your point of view, the critical analysis of the policy, so that if there are problems, improvements can be made. And you're focusing on unparliamentary words, which is also was a routine affair. Then emblem, which is the exact copy of the Sarnath replica. And let me tell you, when Sujata was talking about the horse, when a running horse, tail is always up, and that follows the principle of physics, which is known as Bernoulli's principle. I'm a student of physics, I can tell you that. and therefore to look into things which does not even require criticism.
Okay.
And just look at the headlines and don't read.
So,
what
Sujata
is
Paul, today,
printed below.
when the opposition is up
problem.
in arms talking about an expunged list, then you have the speaker come out and say, but this is a practice that happens every year. Or today, when we speak about the circular around dharnas and strikes, so on and so forth, then the BJP puts out circulars dating back to 2009 and others here as well. The larger sentiment that is being seen by viewers and others is that this is just an opposition that is not serious about its priorities. Anything that is related with Prime Minister Modi today, the opposition wants to criticize. That is the larger sentiment that is being sent out.
No,
See,
this has
what you have
nothing to do with
said
Mr.
makes
Modi.
it very clear that it is Mr. Modi who is more important even than the parliamentarians from the Bharatiya Janata Party. Now, my problem is that most of the laws being enacted in the parliament today are being brought in the form of ordinances. Am I right or am I wrong? Let Mr. Desh, Ratan, Nigam refute this particular argument of mine. Now, the point is that if you are not going to have any debates and discussions, if you want to stifle the voices of the opposition, if you want to call them parasites, Parajeevi means parasites. And yes, you are talking about Bernoulli's principle with regard to the horse, but are you going to change the character of the horse like it is in the Sarnath emblem, Sarnath pillar? Should it just remain like that? But let's not talk about that. We are talking about the parliament today and the dharna. So why do you want to come up with these circulars at a time when the government is being looked on as a government which is dictatorial, which is not listening to anybody? So why is this chosen as the time to bring this in? It is very obvious that you do not want to hear criticism, and that is why these circulars are being brought out now.
Desh Ratan Nigam, I'll let you respond to that, and I'll also tell you the larger criticism of the opposition. There was a fair point that you were making, whether you should see this as an attack on Prime Minister Modi or whether you should see this as a circular as far as the functioning of the parliament is concerned. But the larger issue which is being raised by the opposition is that where do we actually raise our voices? If you look at the proceedings in the floor of the House, certain telecasts are not shown. So they feel every possible opportunity is being taken away from them. And that's why today, if they don't raise their voices, then where will they make the use as far as the functioning of the democracy is concerned?
I think the amount of democracy that the opposition today has is far greater than what they had in the past. And what can you say about the opposition when they don't take part in the debates and walk out and abstain from voting? Every time walk out, and people are watching live telecast, people are watching and they know what is going on. You don't even vote. I mean, at least there should be clarity as to these many people voted against the motion, so that you know the strength. People must know the strength of the people. Now you don't even vote, you walk out, you say will not participate in debates. That's not democracy. There are forums for every place. You've got designated places for protest in Delhi or in all over India, you do protest out there. You have a place for debate and discussion, which is inside parliament, do that out there. Nobody's stopping you. And in fact, the amount of misinformation and fake news that the opposition is today spreading, like the, unparliamentary words or today's dharna bulletin. I mean, just read the headline. Don't read what is inside. And that is where they get caught. They raise an issue, then they go on a back foot. They get caught. Okay, we were the ones who did it. And then they are saying, yes, they did wrong. Parliament decides on its own procedures. Nobody can dictate. Mr. Modi cannot even dictate.
Unfortunately, I will have to leave that conversation there. As we said, that it looks like the stage is set for a stormy session ahead. Sujata Paul as well as Desh Ratan Nigam, we leave the conversation there.